Right, ready to go then. So first agenda item, apologies for absence.
Had apologies from Councillor Peel.
Okay, we're happy to accept that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Right, declarations of interest.
It's a very tangential one, but Liz Holland, who is an applicant for one of our grant applications, is also the clerk to Glapthorne Parish Council, on which I sit. I think that's about as other as another interest could ever get.
Okay then. And I did notice in the trial budget we got St Christopher's Drive maintenance on there, so I should declare I'm a resident of St Christopher's Drive.
A frequent user of the swings, I should think.
You've got to do something, haven't you?
Do your feet touch the ground, Tony?
Only when I fall off. Right. Representation from interested parties. I'm assuming, apart from Paul, who's the only interested party we've got here, isn't he?
Yeah, no, we haven't got anything else. No.
Okay. And then consideration of requests from interested parties. Well, obviously there's none. Right.
None.
Right. Minutes of the previous meeting. Then this is the meeting from the 11th of February.
Yeah, a long time ago it seems.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, I was present, David was present, Jerry was, Peter Peel and Roy Sparks. So are we happy to accept those minutes?
Let's put it this way, I have no basis now to remember that there's anything wrong with them. So
I couldn't see anything wrong with them.
Fine.
All right then. Okay, then I'll propose them, and a second of there from Jerry, and all those in favour. We've done that. Right, very good. Just give me a moment to initial and sign these. Right, and I'll file those away somewhere that I'll forget them and Emma will send them out to me again. Right. Right, so on to the beefy bit then. To receive the balance sheet and the bank reconciliation and the budget accounts up until September. So, is any? Yeah, Jerry.
No specific issues about any of the information presented, but just as a general point, I was just going to, leading on to some things that are coming later, I suppose, make the point that as far as I can see, it looks like we're going to have a reasonable surplus this year, and I just wanted to ask Paul whether you think that's still your expectation. It seems that with very much limited less activities, we seem to be not spending as much as we're obviously not bringing in as much, but we're spending a lot less than we would have perhaps anticipated. So it looks like we're going to have quite a lot of money left to go to reserves at the end of the year.
I think it depends on whether things that we've set up to spend £10,000 on the cemetery extension, £15,000 in Herne Park car park, £5,000 in the Drill Hall car park, and it depends whether these are going to be done or not this year. And obviously things have been slowed down because of COVID. And there's another £13,000. There's different monies theoretically being spent this year, but it depends whether they'll get spent. I think the young lady at the top left-hand side would like to say something.
I think the cemetery extension, we're a long way off that because that's determined by the development, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what's going on with that at the moment. So I don't think we'll be spending it this year. However, I think when we do have to spend money on that land to get it ready for burial ground, I think we'll be spending a lot more than 10,000.
Yeah.
So it may be that we should carry it forward and keep that as a pot of money for when we do want to use it.
And there's still some money to be spent on Jones Strong and the courthouse in theory. But again, it depends whether it happens this year or to next year.
Yeah.
20,000.
Yeah.
So if not for that, yes, we'll have some surplus.
And I know QVH is not part of the things we discuss here, but a grant to QVH will be bigger next year because of their lack of income, won't it?
We will.
Mm.
Yeah.
Two reasons.
Oh.
One, their lack of income, and two, that's £10,000 came back from business rates relief this year.
Mm.
And that's effectively subsidised the QVH and subsidised OTC.
Right. Okay. And we won't have that again. So it's a one-off, a windfall. Yeah. Well, with the sentiment of what Jerry says there, that we're looking. I mean, to the credit of you, Paul and Emma, you know, that we're looking extremely healthy in a very unhealthy era.
Yeah, true. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I think Jerry's setting us up for the next one about the next item when we talk about the precept. But
Yeah.
yeah. So. Okay, so are we happy just to accept those? Has anybody got any issues on them?
No.
No. Okay. So just tell me on this. Do we have to vote for that?
I think we're just receiving them, aren't we?
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay. Right, and then grant applications. Then the first one we've got the one for the participation group. This was the use of the photocopier, was it?
Yes, I mean they don't have a bank account or anything like that, it's just if they do a newsletter, and they've asked whether they'll be able to use our photocopier for that.
Okay, Jerry.
The only thing I thought when I saw it was that, I mean, I don't know that, you know, we ought to just check the numbers. I don't know the details of the costs for our photocopier, but they were talking about colour copies, and normally office photocopy is not particularly cheap, particularly when you go in colour. And if you want 200 copies, Paul, and we'll come to you. If you want 200 copies, you know, or 200 copies 3 times a year, 600 copies, I'm pretty sure it will be cheaper to use a local printer. I've used Call Quick in Peterborough for similar things in the past, and they're very quick, very efficient, and don't cost anything like the pence per page I suspect that the office photocopy would be. So my proposal would be, we'll say, give us print ready material, PDF files basically, which anyone can produce on a computer, and then we get them printed by a local printer, assuming that's cheaper than doing it ourselves. And in that way, we will be able to reclaim the VAT, which they wouldn't if they did it themselves. And we just then, you know, we just provide a service to get it done for them by. I mean, we wouldn't even need to involve local council staff. We just need to give them approval to say, send your print material to Call Quick or any other local printer.
Yeah.
Get it, and,
All right, we got Paul and then Malcolm.
well, if we were going to charge what we normally charge, it would be £72. But the cost to us is something like £12.
But that's for black and white, not for the colour, isn't
No,
it?
that's for colour.
That's colour.
Yeah.
Well, as long as we're happy that's the case, then that's fine. I mean, almost in my experience in the past, it's been a lot cheaper when you're doing, you know, big runs, and if you want stapled and folded and all the rest of it, to go to a Call Quick or equivalent. But I mean, as long as we've made sure that we're doing it the most cost-effective way. I mean, I should have perhaps prefaced this by saying, whatever way we do it, I'm in favour of it, but we just do it the most cost-effective way that we can.
Yeah.
The only other issue for me is whether we actually, you know, put a cap on what we're offering at this point. Yeah, so you know, it's a financial cap to us, you know, whether it's using our printer or going out, you know. But if we said that there was an amount here, you know, because we don't at the moment, it's a blank check, isn't it? We're offering.
Well, I suppose what we could say is we'll give you up to so many copies, up to 3 times a year. If you want to go beyond that, we'll have to charge you.
Or
Yeah.
come back again and ask for another
Or they can
grant.
request another grant and we could consider it, but we
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily commit to it at this point.
I have to say, I think they're being a bit conservative with their 200 copies. I mean, if they're talking about putting them in shops around town and in the surgery as well, then you end up with what,
Got you, Malcolm.
40 or 50 in 2 or 3 places or 3 or 4 places. I mean, it's going to disappear in no time, I would have thought.
Yeah, but we do need to put a cap on it. Malcolm,
How many pages to a newsletter? That's got to affect the cost, isn't it? With a 6-page newsletter, we're going to pay
I think it's
£6.
just one double-sided.
Yeah,
Well, that'd be more than £72, won't it? Paul?
no,
No, that's double-sided. It costs us
yeah,
600 copies, double-sided.
yeah.
That's cheap.
It's about, was it about 2p for colour?
Threepence.
My goodness.
We used to charge more, but we brought our prices down because no one was using it.
Well, it actually, what we, at the moment, if somebody came to us and said, could you send me a hard copy of your accounts, then we would charge 10p a copy on our information request policy. But this would be just offering it at what we pay.
all right.
Okay.
So I think we're all in favour of it. We want to support them, but we just need to put that cap on it then. So, so many 3 times a year for starters. Go on, Jerry.
Well, they've asked for 200 copies of a single-sided, double-sided colour. So I
Single
assume that's
sheet,
then,
yes.
yeah.
3
So I
times
assume
a year.
that's 6p a sheet, presumably, Paul, because it's double-sided.
Yeah.
So it's
Cool.
6 times 600 is 3,600. So that's, what's that? £36.
Well, why don't we let them have 1,000? Put a limit of 1,000. Sorry, I should wait.
Well, what I think we should do is look at
Go
what
on.
they've asked for, and so for this particular run, they've asked for 3 times 200 copies.
Yep.
If you're happy for them to have that, then
Yes, we
go
are.
back and
Yep.
say, yes, you've approved that.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they want any
Okay.
more, they've got to come back again.
Yeah, but I mean, but in principle, I think we definitely want to support it. I think we definitely
Yeah.
should be doing it. My only concern was it was going to be more expensive for us to do it ourselves than it was to get it done by, a printer that, maybe with these numbers it's not. But I mean, if you start getting into bigger numbers, I suspect at some point it tips over from being more cost effective to send it to a printer than it is to do it on our copier.
And what obviously OTC staff won't be doing it.
Yeah.
It will be Liz that will come and do it.
Okay then. So do you need a proposer for that?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll propose it. And a seconder.
I'll second it.
There's Malcolm, and all those in favour? That's carried. Okay, thank you. Then the Handel Festival of Music grant, which was essentially the same as they had last year, was it? Yeah, Jerry.
It was more or less, I mean, same financially, but I mean, it's a bit different because of the circumstances we're in. But again, they're not asking for any more than they have historically. It's just a slightly different setup. And they're even saying they might not actually call on it if COVID regulations prevent them from doing it anyway. So, yeah, very happy to support.
All right. So is that your proposal for it? I'll second it.
Yeah.
Yes. All those in favour? Right, thank you. And then a quote for the blinds.
Yeah, these are for blinds in the reception office.
Yeah.
So for one over the other side, it's something that we've been meaning to do for some time, because I mean it's not going to be so much now, but in the summer, where the sun comes in at a certain point, it shines straight into Rebecca's eyes where she sits. So it's sort of in preparation for summer.
Right. Jerry?
I just wanted to say I noted that all of the quotes seem to be from local companies, which I think is great. And I would like to think that wherever we're spending council money over the next however long, we try to focus it on local companies. So there seems to be local small businesses. Which
Yeah,
is
that's
great.
what we tried to do first.
Yeah, great.
Good point. So the only other thing in my mind was whether we wanted it out of this year's budget or next year's budget. Now, since we have a surplus this year, it seems logical to get on and do it now.
Yeah.
Right, any other discussion or input on that?
Have you got any preference, Emma, on who should do it?
Not really. It's entirely up to you.
Whoever's most local and in need.
Okay, all right. Rebecca got these for me, so I'll say to her whichever one, she's the person that's been dealing with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So do you want a proposer for that?
Yes, please.
Self, and then a seconder. You got David. Right, and then all those in favour, they've all been up once or twice.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine. Right, and the fun one to consider the budget for 21-22.
Paul, do you want me to get it up on the screen?
Bring it up on your screen, yeah, because I'm on the
Okay,
OTC.
I'm just going to bring it up on the screen.
Oh,
Wow.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where we want to be? I don't think we want to be in that one, do we?
That's the wrong one.
It's the wrong one. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There we are.
That's the right one, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, where do you really want me to start?
Well, are we allowed to talk QVH?
Well, I thought because of how this year's been, I thought it might be worth looking at QVH because obviously that's going to have an impact on
And if you go to QVH, that one first, you're in.
this one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the default, I've assumed, if you go to the top for income, Emma, roll up higher to the income, I've assumed that the budget last year was about 12,000 odd. Next year, do you think it's going to be any more than half of that? And obviously everything that you say is going to have an impact on the precept. But I've assumed that we'll only get about half the amount of income next year as opposed to this year.
Presumably we've had next to nothing since March.
Yeah.
We've had so far minus £137.45.
they'll give them something back their money.
And they've wanted refunds.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, 137. Yeah, I can see it. So I can see that on the screen. Thank you, Paul. Yeah.
And projected to 2,432. If you hover over the 2432, Emma, I think there's 300 and that's the one. You click on that. There's £322 in the last each of the last 2 months, so there'll be 6 months worth of that, and I'm assuming another 500 quid. So if we make £2,400 in income this year, it's still the best part of £10,000 down.
But where will that come from? Who's going to use it between now and March?
We're using it for different dance classes,
Yeah, we've got yoga
yoga.
and we've got a line
that
dance.
can't go on. That can't go on at the moment, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the rule of six?
It
Well, they're
doesn't
only having about
count.
6 in there, but no, a
they're only
recognised business can run at more than 6.
Oh, can they? Okay, all right. Okay,
Yeah. That's why things like Slimming World can all run with more than 6.
okay. Oh, sorry, I thought we'd been restricted back from that.
No.
Okay.
So if at the moment we anticipate just under £2,500 for this whole year, I can't envisage that the budget for 21-22 will be any more than 6,000, but it's speculative. But obviously, if you only have £6,000 budget and income for next year, a lot of the expenditure doesn't change significantly.
Of course not.
So when you move down to line 9, that will be the balancing grant next year, 31,000. If you keep things as they are. So that's £31,000 balancing budget, plus the PWLB loan of 20-odd thousand. So it's making a loss of £1,000 a week.
So, just talk about the big issues at the moment. I think it's whether or not we put a more pessimistic income figure in there, rather than have to go halfway through the year and find more money from another fund somewhere.
Who knows?
I can't. Personal view is I can't honestly see it's going to be any better than that. I can only see it getting worse.
Yeah. So it's whether or not you put the pessimistic number of 2,000 income rather than 6.
No.
We should be out of the worst of this, I would have thought, by the middle of next year, hopefully. So we should get half a year's run at it at least.
If you say what you expect it to be and what you want me to put in, I can update this live here now.
Yeah.
With a figure.
Well, I think just on that line, it's a question of whether we put £2,000 or £6,000 in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm tempted to leave it as Malcolm says. I don't know that it's necessarily being over optimistic. If things do return to normal during the course of the year, I would like to think we'd hit that sort of a figure.
Yeah, I mean, when I said it, I didn't expect it to be any better. I mean, I'm happy with the 6 at this stage, certainly, as we're doing what everyone's trying to do at the moment, is trying to make decisions based on limited knowledge and absolutely no crystal ball to know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, 6,000 seems a sensible.
If we're currently getting £322 a month, then to get to 6,000, you need another half as much again. But it's formative times at the moment. Anything can happen. People can start up more groups. One significant group, and you've got to £500 a month.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is you're still paying for the cleaning, which is £1,000 a month.
Okay, I think there's enough in the discussion to say we'll leave it at 6 then, but just know that we could have another call on OTC around mid-year.
I mean, even if it was 0, 6,000 in our overall budget is not a huge amount to find, is it? I mean,
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the main part of, obviously the QVH depends on how much the balancing grant is, which is quite significant to OTC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. QVH done. Do you want to move on to OTC, period trial balance, Emma? And you see the bit in mustard there?
Yeah.
No, I can't. I've got it here. Does anyone have any queries?
The only thing
On
that
what?
go on, Malcolm.
I think
Yeah,
I
wait a minute.
assumed on this one that everything related to Fletton House would be roughly 3/4 of the budget for last year, because it's smaller areas and hopefully more people can fit in. But again, that's purely speculative. So your income for Glapthorne will be 9,750. The income for Barnwell 750 as opposed to 1,000, and everything's dropped by 25%. But again, that's speculation.
Right. Okay.
That's right to the top, Emma.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just, yeah.
Right.
Get the wrong thing.
But you're going to be looking at income, sorry, I was just
Yeah.
doing something else. Right, there we go.
So I've made assumptions that there'd be about 3/4 of the rent for the market. We're hoping that by next year, the Christmas market will be up and running and everything will be back to normal and get £7,000. The market rent, the farmer's market, is just about breaking even. So I'm assuming that's going to remain the same way. But any bookings for Fletton House, I've assumed 3/4, purely because the rooms are a little bit smaller and you're more likely to be able to hire a room out for half a dozen people. But that's up to Emma again.
At the moment, we've obviously got some bookings, but we're sort of at capacity for hiring out the rooms in Fletton House so that we can get cleaning and things done in between. So we're not really taking any more bookings unless it's going to be something really small for Fletton House.
Can we divert anything towards the QVH?
We've offered that a few times, but a lot of people, it's because of parking and other issues. And so the couple of things where people have come forward and we've gone back and said, at this time they haven't really come back to us. We've had a few people who obviously use other halls, but those halls are not opening, so they're coming to us. But yeah, we've not had, we haven't had any major issues where people have been desperate to get in, and but we haven't been able to accommodate them.
Okay. So Emma, do you feel comfortable with the figures that are proposed here then?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Malcolm?
I'm just looking at 4712. That's the police room. Are we suddenly going to rent that, are we, or what?
Yeah, I'm in the process of finalising the lease with East Northants Council.
Okay.
They have been out and done a risk assessment, and as it stands at the moment, they're not looking to come in. But the lease is obviously still going to go ahead, but they're not looking to put anybody in there at the minute.
But you've got a budget of £1,800 in there for that room. Is that right for this year?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Which didn't appear in the previous years. How many years in advance do they pay then? What's the situation?
Well, the police paid up front, so we had all of that money for the full 5 years.
Right, okay. So is that £1,800 a year they pay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Jerry's got his hand
Yeah.
up.
Sorry, I haven't got a screen full at the moment. Losing faces. Sorry, Jay.
Okay.
Go on.
I was just going to say, I wonder if we should be doing a bit more to try and promote QVH, because it's by far the biggest space we've got. So if people like Slimming World wanted to do, more
They
people.
don't want it.
Yeah, but I mean, they could get more people in there.
Yeah, they don't want it though. And
Well,
they can't really get it. It's because of parking.
But by the time they go there, there's no problem with parking. You can park in car park. And they can jog there.
There's a lot of people, I know, but we offer it. We offer the QVH. If we can't accommodate them in Fletton House, we always offer it.
Yeah, I'm amazed because there's so much more room there. I mean, if you want to have a bigger group, anyway.
They can't have a bigger group at the moment though, because their numbers are limited.
Right. Okay.
So they can't be any bigger.
Because they haven't got the clients. You mean?
No, they're only allowed up to a maximum of 30.
Of
Government guidelines, Slimming World.
how many?
30.
So they're getting 30 in that room.
Well, no, they're not, but they could have 30.
Wow. Okay.
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 Yeah. No, it's government guidelines.
No, I know, I understand, but I mean, I'm amazed that they don't want more, the space.
Mm.
No, it's parking's the issue.
Yeah, I'm with Jerry on the logic though of jogging from the co-op. Yeah. Okay. And Emma, nothing came from the Andal school inquiries. When they're booking those rooms a few months back.
Yeah, they had it for that one time.
Yeah, they've shown no more interest in.
No.
No. Okay, then they must have sorted out their problems. Okay, so it's a case of whether I think we feel comfortable to go with these numbers, on this reduced booking rate.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the end of the world, whatever happens with these numbers. But okay.
Yeah.
Just going down the rest of it then. One thing that we talked about in that last meeting we had was spending some more money on the graveyard.
The cemetery, you mean?
The better. Okay,
Yeah.
all right then. The cemetery.
I think we might confuse ourselves with the graveyard by the church, which
All right. Okay
Yeah.
then. Right. Yeah. So did we up the budget for it?
We haven't as yet. I've still got I've been speaking to somebody who's quite keen to do some grass cutting for us,
Yep.
which I think would be a very good idea. But I just need to get a little bit more, because I've had an exchange of emails this evening, and I just need to go back, because it may be that it's only half that they're thinking of doing the old part.
Yeah. Okay then.
Still need somebody to help with the new part.
Yeah, and it was Mr. Newell, was it, from the chapel?
Yes.
He offered to for a fee, didn't he, as well?
Mm.
So I just because this is a trial account at the moment, we ought to pencil something in there. Say yes, we
Yeah.
are going to be, we are going to be spending more on the graveyard. The tombstone,
The cemetery.
Right.
I mean,
I'll
I think
get
we've got 1,000 in there at the minute, haven't we?
The cemetery repairs and maintenance, which is 1,000 repairs and maintenance and 10 grand for an extension. It's
Yeah.
doors 5050. You've gone a little bit too far, Emma.
5050.
So
So I think
That's up from that's 5,000 up from this year's budget. Yeah. No, I'm looking at the wrong.
yeah, it
thing.
is. Yeah.
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 But I think cemetery extension is something different to
No, that's sorry. So what's the maintenance budget?
1,000 in there at the moment.
And last year,
It was 6,000.
Last year it was 6,000.
Oh, sorry, this year.
Yeah, sorry, this
Oh,
current,
current year.
yeah. Mm.
I'm sorry, that's not logic there. So the
We're going to do more, so we need more money, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what was the 6,000 for current year?
we obviously decided to put 6,000 in for cemetery maintenance. I haven't got a
And
little
I can't see.
angle, so I can't tell you. I mean, it's
What did we
fortunate that we
spend?
did, because we did spend quite a bit of money on that grass cut.
We're projecting to 2,500, aren't we?
Mm. Yeah,
So if we're going to spend more than the projection of 2,500, we should have more than 2,500
Yes.
in the next year's budget, plus the 10,000.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Malcolm.
I think we have to bear in mind the bottom line of all this. And we're already pushing the precept up according to the bottom line of something like 5%. We can't ask the public for that again, so we've got to trim our costs.
Part of those things will come up in the next, as you move down here, whether you still want to put in the like £15,000 for the Herne Park car park and so on.
Well, I mean, inflation 0.8%. A lot of people are having a very tough time at the moment. We can't go around asking for an increase in anything like a
Yeah, okay.
an
Jerry.
increase in
Malcolm, you're preempting where I was coming to when we get to the bottom, which is
Yeah.
that as a matter of principle, I think we should be trying very, very hard to make sure there's no increase in the precept this year.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if that means drawing on reserves. Now, you know, we're going to have a surplus this year, we've just seen, we believe. We need to be looking at where we can cut costs. And I think as a matter of principle, we should not be putting the precept up this year.
Well, I'm with you. Emma?
Yeah.
I mean, what I think we should do is, like, if we do, you know, think about what sort of money you want to put in the cemetery, and as we go down, put those figures in, but then you'll see what your percentage is, and then we'll work out how much we've then got to trim off.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you might find
Or
you
where
can
where we can take it from, yeah.
yeah, you'll be able to see where you can take it from.
Yeah, but I think the 10,000 that's in there can come out, but I think that the 1,000 is wrong. That, you know,
Yeah,
if we're spending
Not
2.5
enough.
this year,
Yeah.
and we need to spend 3.5 next year to try and keep on top of it better, but the 10,000 can come out because clearly don't think we're going to spend that in reality this year.
Yeah.
but having said that, when it does come to having to spend that money, you're probably looking at about 40,000 to get.
Yeah, I agree, Emma. I agree. Yeah,
So
but I mean, I think at that point we need to be, you know, thinking about Section 106 and grants and all the rest
Yes.
of it as well.
Paul?
I mean, that's that money for cemetery repairs and maintenance. That was 2,300 for one cut
mm,
to tidy everything up. That's just one off.
Bloody hell.
yeah,
And that's what Emma was talking about earlier with, was it Mr. Newell?
yeah. But I think he thinks he's probably just going to do the older part. But I think if we had somebody else do the newer part, I would imagine that you'd probably be spending about 5,000 or 6,000
Mm.
on the cemetery, maybe a bit more.
Well, that sounds like a lot of money for grass cutting.
It is. It's a huge
Yeah.
area. It's absolutely.
Because we've got our own machinery.
Yeah.
And it's all hand mowing. You know, there's very small areas where you can actually go on a ride on.
Right.
But yeah, okay. Well, look, you know, we're going to have a discussion somewhere else about, you know, the long-term future of the cemetery and its maintenance. Here we've got the budget setting, and it said, you know, we do it at least in this budget need to have it equal to this year's.
Mm.
Okay.
So let's put 5,000 in for the next year.
Right.
And then what do you think about the 10,000 for any work on extension? I can't honestly see that happening
I can't see us being given the land in this coming financial year.
No, I can't either. No.
Maybe not even the next.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So I think 5,000 is the number for there.
Paul, do you want me to change these while I'm here?
I'll change this to 5,000 and move to £10,000 for the cemetery extension to the following year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Do you want me to carry on scrolling down, or?
That was only one that came to mind from myself. I don't know if anybody else has got any they want to go at.
well, the Herne car park, Herne Road car park, is a huge bill. What, 15,000 in the budget?
That's for significant tree removal and tree root removal for this year and next year.
I understand that, but considering we don't use it, it's only used by Fairline. I don't want to really spend the money.
The difficulty is we're subject to lease provisions that require us to do some maintenance on it. So
Hmm. Okay, well,
Well, I certainly do want to cut it down to essential maintenance and nothing beyond that.
was essential maintenance.
Well, the only stuff we can't get away with, isn't it?
I mean, I think the other thing is, I mean, we've still got, I know it's running down, roughly 10 years to go, is it on lease? Is it a bit more, a bit less, sorry?
Bit less than that.
Bit less. I mean, do you wait until the end and then do it all before you know?
And
In
if
fact, I mean, you could do it now and then end up having to do it again in 8 years' time.
Yeah.
yeah. And
Emma?
if you look, we've got £10,000 that we haven't spent, and I don't see us spending all of that this year. So you could technically say, if we don't spend that, that can almost be a carryover, and you can take 10,000 out of the proposed budget for next year.
Jerry?
I think we should do the absolute minimum this year and next year, and you know, keep the money in our kitty for sorting it out when we need to.
Yeah,
I agree.
okay. So take that down to the minimum. Paul?
So does that mean that, because for the next 21, 22, 22, 3 and 3, 4, you budgeted 15, 32 and 32. Do you want to bring those all down to whatever you want? You tell me what you want me to put in there for all 3 years. And then push it all back to 23, 24?
We got no idea what the minimum amount we should be spending on that is. If we don't do the tree root removal and everything else, what are we going to be into? £4,000 or £5,000? I don't know.
How big?
Do you want to put 5,000 in this one for now?
So 5,000 in 21, 22?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I think we're all talking with a lack of knowledge of the minimum, really, aren't we? I think it needs to go back to the clerk to say, you know, what's the minimum we can get away with, I think, for the next couple of years, and then reappraise it after that.
Yeah.
I think the idea was that we were going to sort of almost like resurface it and repaint it, and that's why we were putting so much money aside. But
but like we've said, who are we doing it for? If it's just for Fairline, what's the point?
Yeah. So, you know, if there's places to spend money again, you know, just back on the previous topic, you know, I'd rather be spending the money there where people can go and spend some time rather than on a car park. But take this down to the minimum. No plans for resurfacing it. You know, I know we have contractual obligations to return it in the same condition that we received it. You know, now hopefully that goes alongside having an extension to the lease on it. But, you know, in Jerry's point, you know, we've got to spend that money in the future. And the conversation, to my mind, at the moment is very much about cash flow. It's what you know, in these tough couple of years that we've got now, what we don't have to spend.
I think because we've got trees round there, I'm just mindful, and they're quite large. if we do want to do anything with them, I would be reluctant to take it down any lower than 5,000, because you can soon eat that up.
I don't think we're saying that, Emma. I think we're saying, you need to tell us what the minimum is. I mean,
But if I put 5 in now,
yeah,
then we'll be able to see what it looks like at the end.
yeah.
Okay.
We need to, we don't want to be creating bigger bills in the future by neglecting stuff now.
No.
But equally, we don't want to be resurfacing it and relining it at the moment, because people are going to look at us and say, what the bloody hell are you spending all that money for doing that? When,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the next big increase is 91, isn't it? I think. Sorry,
There's-
not
there's
91.
also the
Colin,
drill hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're trying to cut things down, there's also the drill hall car park, which is another maintenance program for 5,000 for this year, as well as 5,000 for next year. And that's
So back down to the minimum you need on that one, Emma.
I would leave 5 in the drill hall, although we don't really spend a lot of money on that. But where is the other one that was really high?
At least we're using the drill hall.
That as it is.
Okay.
But then, sorry, the next one is the toilets.
Yes. Why do we have such a large amount in anyway? What we're going to do?
But all
Build them.
the quotes for the refurbishment were in like the 30,000.
Hell.
So was the suggestion to do one ladies next year and men's the
I
next
think
or
so,
something?
yeah.
I mean, I think that is, to be honest, that's more justifiable, because that is something that, if it needs doing, it's something that is of real value to the town and people will make use of.
I think if we were to say, oh, we're not going to put any money in and we're not going to refurbish them, and then like halfway through the year we have to close them, I think people would be more upset from that.
Okay, Malcolm.
Why don't we just leave it in there and see how short of money we are?
Yeah.
If there's a problem.
Okay.
Well, we have spent a lot of money this year.
We've approved the new ramp, haven't we?
Sorry?
We've approved the new ramp, haven't we, in this year?
Yeah, I mean, this year we'll be spending the money on the new ramp, but I think the thought is there's a few ideas. I know Ian's got a few ideas for the future, but again, if the skate park is okay with the new ramp, then I don't know, maybe we won't be thinking about doing anything next year.
Personally, I'd like to keep it in if we can, because again, I think it relates to giving young people things to do, and they're going to need the things to do, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
We'll leave it there for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than, having said that, rather than putting it against the skateboard park as a specific, could we not just have a new line for youth facilities or something and put it there, and then we're free to kind of spend it wherever?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
So do you mean youth activities, David?
Yeah, just relabel it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could call it youth activities. I mean,
It's just called youth activities.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's got that little bit about replacing the skate park. You know, your little red triangle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's for more general things. I mean, we might.
yes, that's what I'm getting at. It looks as if we're sort of predicating it's definitely going to the skateboard park, and I just want to make it clear that it may do, but it might not.
Yeah. I think that's implied, isn't it, in the category? If we just try and get our minds around that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
They're all not really much we can do about all of those. Costs, rates. All right, St Christopher's Drive. We've got out of 1,545. Is there a reason?
That's because it was just an increase of 3% on the previous year. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But again, any of these things are flexible. You can change any of them, reduce them if you want to.
Oh yeah, that's,
I note that the. Am I correct in saying that we've underdone the grants? Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. I can't. Where are we on grants? In the past we've had money in for grants which hasn't then been asked for. How are we doing at the moment?
well, those grants that we've just had today, and one of
Yeah.
them is only monetary, is the only one we've had this financial year.
So
Last one
So
we gave
probably-
was football club.
I have a feeling, having said that, that probably before the financial year is out, we may have a lot of local organisations in difficulty in coming to us for grants. So it wouldn't surprise me if we don't find some demand for the grants.
I wasn't proposing we don't have the money there. I was just curious to know where we were this year, and how, in the past, it's been undersubscribed, and I just wonder if we're at the same place again.
Yeah, we are. Well, we sort of are so far.
So far.
I mean, definitely think we should keep the money there, because I agree with David that there could well be people coming for it. Yeah.
And then you've obviously got your QV8 there. Oh, sorry, I'm just, right, there we go, that one. Right, CCTV.
I know we've spent a lot on CCTV.
Yeah, we've replaced the
this year.
CCTV. Yeah, I'm just wondering why. Is there?
I think at the time that was, I don't know, there was a toss-up between whether it was going to be in 1 year or the other year. It may have all been through. I don't know whether you're planning any more CCTV cameras. I think at one stage it's going to be spread across 2 years. I don't know whether they've all been bought this year.
We've replaced all the ones down in the marketplace, but I know there was a bit of concern near the zebra crossing on Blackthorn Road. So I don't know whether we were going to think about putting another one in there, but other than that, I don't think we've got.
That seems to be one thing that we can take out for this year because of our budgets.
Should we just leave some in case we have to?
Well, you need some for maintenance, don't you?
Yeah.
To leave 1,000 in there.
Should we leave 1,000?
Yeah, okay.
Go away. Okay.
The purchase seemed to be quite a big jump on highways verges. I can't tell you what the number is because it's gone off the edge of the screen.
Yeah, that's how much it costs to
Yeah, it's gone up
the grass
from
verges.
7.6 to 9, something or other. It's a big
Yeah,
chunk.
we added an extra couple of cuts. I think the previous year we had 8
Well, I'm not
cuts.
talking about previous
we
year,
had
I'm
a
talking
10
about-
cut.
I'm talking about this year to next year.
I think that was working on the basis that they may be doing some other cuts, wasn't it, Emma?
Well, I've only got it to £270 difference.
Or maybe I'm looking at the
Originally we
wrong one.
budgeted 9,000 because we were anticipating more cuts, but then it wasn't quite as much as we thought. But the 9,000 is just, the 9,270 is just 9,000 plus 3%.
Oh, I see.
But it can drop to £9,000 now that we know what we're likely to spend.
We spent £8,000 last year, so or this year projected. So 8% plus 3%, 8,000 plus 3%.
Okay, happy with that, Emma?
Okay. I can't work that out on the top of my head there.
8240.
1,240.
Yeah.
3 times.
What was that, 8240?
8240. Yeah.
240.
let me know if you want to stop on it and want me to stop on anything.
Want to-
Can I just have, because I have a little personal interest on this, can I just question the electricity line? Because we had a budget of 5,000. I thought when we budgeted, or when we contracted for our electricity, it was well below the budgeted numbers, and we seem to be running a lot higher. If we're saying, no, we're not running higher. We're running at, no, we're running at 3.7 projected.
I've just
Electricity number seems to be all over this. Line 142, the electricity number seems to be all over the place because we've got this year projected 7,500. This year's budget 5,000. But I thought we would when we agreed our electricity contracts, they were below the budgeted numbers, not above.
At the time they were, yes.
Which meant at the time it was a fixed cost. It was a fixed cost budget for the year. A fixed price contract for the year, for 2 years, whatever it was.
In which case we'll have to chase that one up then.
So I'm a bit confused about that. Something doesn't. I mean, it may well be it is 7.5, but I mean, maybe the budget wasn't right. But I mean, something doesn't seem to sort of sit quite right with me there.
3,007 is how much we've actually physically had in bills. The projected is double that. But if we projected £5,000,
Yeah.
and it was a fixed budget.
And you know, in all honesty, the bills should be higher for the second 6 months, not for the first 6 months, because we've just been through the summer. So something doesn't look right there. And particularly when you look at 1920 actual, because I'm pretty sure we didn't have an increase over 1920 actual contracts.
There was one bill in April, on the 2nd of April, just in the beginning of this financial year, which was £2,571.96. And that was 2 days into the year. The only other bill has been £1,140 in July. So it's the £2,500 bill which is distorting it.
So does that
Is it
mean
quarterly, Paul?
It's quarterly, yeah.
So that would have been for January, February, March.
Yeah, the next bill is due sort of any day now. The first week of October, the bill should come in.
right? Let's not do it now. Could
No.
you have a look at that, Paul? And if you're
Yeah.
struggling, give me a shout, because I did work with you, didn't I, on that? Whenever
did,
it was, just over a year ago, I think it was.
6021. I'll have a look at it in the morning.
It might be a phasing thing, mightn't it? We maybe have got 3 quarters in this year already, and we're going to end up with 5 quarters in this year or something. But anyway, let's work it out.
I will keep it. I'll make a note anyway.
Yeah. Right. So
About courthouse repairs and maintenance. There's a lot of money we haven't spent this year by the looks of things. And we're putting in a lot of money for next year.
move that over there.
Yeah, that R&M for the courthouse can't be right, can it? Because we put the roof on it.
But we're still expecting more things to go wrong.
Yeah, but sorry, in terms of our spend to date, is it saying £371?
That's all that's been spent so far. Yeah.
The roof would have been last year, Tony.
Yes, that's why it's
Yeah.
30,000.
Right, sorry, I thought, gosh, this year's gone, hasn't it? So, yeah, all right then.
Okay.
Something we could look at, though, isn't it? Because if we don't think there's anything big going to happen in the next 18 months, we maybe could trim that.
Yeah.
Emma?
Yeah, I know that I think we did some decorating in the courtyard area, but I think the other side, the roadside windows are looking a bit tatty.
Sorry.
And they're potentially the communal areas within the building are also looking a bit tatty.
Is that a this year or a next year?
It's not something that is scheduled. Been looking at over the last few weeks, Lisa and I, but we can certainly start looking at it.
And will it be a £15,000 spend this year and 15,000 next
I
year?
don't know. It's I seem to remember when we had the courtyard area done, that was about for painting window frames and I think the main gates. I think that was about 6,000, 7,000.
Well, if we can get that one down to 10,
Yeah,
yeah, because we know what's coming at the end of the bottom of this pile, don't we? So
yeah.
yeah,
But
if we got that
technically
down,
we've still got 14,000 left that we haven't spent out this year.
Exactly.
So we
So-
could look into getting that sort of thing done this financial year, and then next year we probably
on that basis, you could take it down to 5, couldn't you?
yeah. Shall we to do that? Just
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it at 5, and then we'll carry. How do you work on carrying funds over here?
this council's never done it before.
Right.
It all just goes into the general reserve, which
Okay. Right.
that
So come back out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got the salaries now, and Paul's taken out the hub costs.
Right. So we've left that on the assumption it's going to be closed for the whole year.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
What
Well,
I
if it
put
does, sorry, if it does get going over again, it's got to be cost neutral or reasonably cost neutral.
Yeah, but we have no staff for it now. They're actually leaving at the end of this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at some point in the future, if we decide to reinstate something, then it has to be cost neutral.
Yeah.
That'll be after COVID, long time after COVID.
No, I think that what you prompted that observation there is whether or not you want to leave 5,000 in if you do want to kick it off again, whether self-service or whatever.
No, I don't think so. In personal view, I don't think so. Not next financial year.
Yeah.
I think it'll be.
I don't think it looks right to put it in the budget at the same time as staff are leaving as
No.
well.
No.
So
Okay.
No,
showing nil makes more sense.
Yeah.
I'll keep going down.
Yeah.
mayor's expenses, that's gone up in the budget.
Well, I'm bloody expensive, aren't I? Have I
1,500.
spent anything this year?
No, in fact,
Oh,
£21.
I don't think since
Excuse me, £21 was me.
I don't think anybody, I don't think any mayor since I've been here has had any
As much as
expense.
Jerry.
I can't even remember what the £21 was for.
I'm just trying
Put
to.
it down to 500.
it would have been for the room.
Yeah, no, quite. Just on that one. Yeah, take it down to 500.
Do you like? Yeah.
I'd be reluctant. I'll tell you why. It was put in because it was recognised that mayors may often face all sorts of expenses, partially because of attending things on behalf of the council. And if you had a mayor who was not particularly well
Rich,
heeled,
all right.
we didn't want people to be put off doing it because they didn't feel they could afford those expenses. I mean, I'd rather have it in, and then if it's an underspend, it's an underspend, than actually reduce the principle of having a reasonable allowance there.
Okay.
And it certainly
Emma?
has been claimed in the past, and was fairly regularly, almost as a matter of course. Somebody would become mayor and take their yearly allowance.
Yeah, Emma.
I'm just mindful of the fact we did have a member of the public question it this year. So I don't know if we made a small reduction, at least it would look like we've reduced it if you wanted to.
Yeah. What I don't want to do is leave them a sum in here that we're never going to use, and then cut something out that we want to spend money on. Jerry.
Just recounting my experience as mayor, I mean, the only thing I remember spending anything on, which was more than £21, was a gift for Andrassy when I went over to the twinning
did,
visit. Now, I thought that would have appeared there, but I don't think it has, because that was the Oundle painting, the print of the Oundle shops. I can't remember what, it'll come to me, but the artist. And that was a frame.
Would
The
it
frame
have been in the
photo, I think it
previous
was
budget?
Sorry?
Would it have been in the previous budget, 18-19?
No, because that was 1920, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 1920.
From May though. Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Don't know why that's.
Anyway, so I mean, I spent, the only thing I can remember spending was that. I think it was a frame
Mm.
print. I think it was about £150. I don't. It maybe didn't appear in there. It maybe appeared somewhere else in I don't know,
Mm.
some other category. But that's the only thing I remember spending. I can't imagine what the 21. Oh, maybe going on a course. I mean,
It was the 5th of October on just the £150. It was 1819.
oh, it's 1819.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 1920 was my year. And then
Oh, of course,
just
because you're
did,
on your second year, aren't you, Tony? I keep
because I
thinking you're
can't
in.
get out of it.
Yes.
We'll have a bloody meeting.
Yeah. There we go. So neither of us have spent very much money at all, have we?
No.
But I kind of do take the point that David's making.
Yeah,
which is that we shouldn't hamstring any future move.
Mm. This is why was my argument with how I justified why we had that many.
All right.
Because not everybody
look-
can afford it.
Knock it down to 1,000 for now. And then, because we're at the bottom of this pile, £500 isn't going to make any difference to us.
No.
But
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Meeting expenses, staff
For
training.
some reason why we've taken the election money out in an election year. I mean, I can see that we may end up yet again not having elections because of COVID, but at the moment I'd have thought it should be there.
Yes.
You did put aside £5,000 for elections in reserves about 4 or 5 years ago.
So we have got it there.
And that went in December 2015. You set
Is it
aside-
also not true to say that we only need this money if it doesn't coincide with the, what were the county council elections? So
Yeah.
given that we're almost certainly to have the unitary elections in
Everything's going to happen. Police.
I can't see. I mean, COVID or not, it's going to happen, isn't it? Because the unitary is coming.
They have to. Mm.
So I think it's reasonable to say we won't have any cost because we'll just piggyback on that, won't we?
I would think so. Yeah, because everything's going to happen next year.
okay, I'm happy to leave it at 0 then.
Mm.
Remind me what tourism was again.
Well, that's where we pay our Christmas lights.
Right.
And anything relating to.
Oh, can I just, sorry to put an aside in, but for people's information, at the last full council meeting, or one of the previous full council meetings, I volunteered to help Lisa try and calculate the costs because we had our lighting lady, person, whatever, and I can't remember, if it was a man or a lady, asking for some money.
Yeah.
When we did the sums, actually the claim didn't seem that unreasonable. So although the current lighting is much lower cost to run, I had to make some fairly broad guesses and came up with something that was, £200 to £300. Sorry, I wasn't going to mention numbers, but anyway, and the claim was not much more than that. And I sort of said, well, from the basis of goodwill, we're probably just better off just settling it. But pointing out that in future it should be much lower, a fifth or a tenth of that cost because it's now all LED and it's very much lower cost.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a bit on the side. But
Yeah, I know.
throw that in.
Anyway, tourism's all right then.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, is it? I mean, we've got 25,000 we're spending this year. What are we going to spend 25,000 on next year for tourism?
Well, it's Christmas lights. That's the bulk of the amount of money.
Well, no, but I thought we had that budgeted for this year to spend this year.
We do it every year.
Oh, okay. Sorry, beg your pardon. Yes, you're right.
It's a sort of amount.
Yeah, you're right.
of
I'm
money,
wrong. Yeah, that's all right. I stand corrected. It's all right. Fine.
Yeah.
Councillors' expenses. We never spend anything, do we? You've got
Well,
a
I
couple
think
of thousand in there.
it's also a training budget, and of course, potentially, if we do have elections, there's just the possibility of a number of new councillors. So there ought to be a training budget in there.
Yeah.
Well, we've got nearly £3,000 at the moment. We've never spent that, have we?
I don't think we've ever spent anything as high as.
Isn't a lot of the training at no cost to us anyway? I mean, isn't it? Don't NPAR provide it at minimal cost?
It's reasonable, but I do think it's important that there is training for councillors, particularly new councillors, and
Oh, yeah.
trainers as refresher course.
But Jerry's point is, do we have to
I've-
pay for that?
I've been on 3 or
Yeah.
4 training courses, and I've been on 3 or
Pay
4
for
training
it.
courses. Yeah, I know, but nothing like that, Emma. I mean, it's
Yeah, but if you've got 14 councillors, 14
okay.
councillors, you've got chairman training, you know, you've got, I want councillors to go on training.
No, I'm not arguing about that. I'm just questioning whether the.
But then there's other
cost
training
is-
as well. Yeah, it's not always through Northants Count. There's other training as well.
All right.
I'll be cut down to.
I'll make sure we spend it. I'll make sure.
Just the Malcolm's point there. Can we just round it down to 2?
Yeah, okay.
What's the LGR fund? I suppose I should know that.
That we had was that where that 60,000 was that one year?
No, that's further down because I checked it wasn't
No.
there.
No,
Because that's local government reform fund.
Oh, it's not
I'm
that.
assuming that we're not going to have to pay for it.
I think it was Danny's recommendation to put £1,000 in every month for the LGR, but this was a couple of years ago. It was new for 2018.
Do we need it?
We haven't used it so far.
So leave it out and then use it from reserves. I mean, it's going back into reserves anyway, that £1,000.
Yeah.
Cool house electricity, that seems to be a big jump.
Me Flatton House.
Yes, I do mean Fletton House, sorry.
It's
You've
pretty
got
low this
projected for 2,200 and then next year for 7,200.
It was just based on the last 5 years have been 7.5, just under 6, just under 6, just under 6.
I think that goes
Is
back
that because
to.
of COVID?
I think this might go back to the point I made earlier on, Paul. You need to look at whether we're allocating it differently, because if we've got one high and one low, maybe
Yeah.
it's not been allocated the same.
Well, also without the hub and their electricity use, I don't know how much they were using. With the cookers and so
It
on.
won't be very much in the hub, I wouldn't have thought.
No, all right.
And I mean, we had quite a few months where volunteer action were still in the building, but that was all. That could have an impact.
We've had 4 bills since April, and they're all between £300 and £460. So that we can probably reduce that. And these are, well, they started off by being quarterly and they're now monthly. It's currently £335 per month.
So 4,000 or 5,000 should cover it.
Okay. Do you want to reduce that to 5,000?
Want me to go down to 5, or do you want me to put it at about 5.5? What it was?
I would say 5. I don't
5.
know how everybody else feels.
Okay.
I mean, I just think as a general point, we need to take a look at this because we're obviously bouncing around here. We should know pretty damn well what our electricity costs are going to be. It's not difficult to work out. And by the way, electricity and energy costs generally are coming down, not up at the moment. So,
Okay.
So just on that repairs and maintenance budget. I mean, obviously we repair and maintain what we need to when you're talking about painting and so on. We need to spend all that in this coming calendar year.
We've got 6,000 or something. Oh, nearly 10,000 left over from this year, haven't we? So we're not going to spend 25,000 next year, I would have thought.
This was the figure that was put in last year for obviously effectively next year, but now we're another year down the road.
Right. Okay. So we'd got that in the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was
Um,
18 months ago, effectively.
Put in at 5,000, that'd be my suggestion, just to cover any contingencies.
I'd be happier if we knocked it down there again on this.
do
Yeah.
you,
I mean, if it was things like roofs and you know, sort of major
Yeah.
structural things, I'd say, yeah, we'd have to leave it. But because it's about, you know, painting and decorating, you know, we'd have to do the essential bits and then
yeah.
stretch it out.
I
And then
think, I mean,
add to the fact we've got the best part of 10,000 carried over from this year anyway.
shall I reduce it to 10?
I'd like to go to 5.
I'd be happy with 10. I actually think we're trimming quite a lot out of this budget.
Right, so Jerry, you've got the casting vote on this one.
7.5.
I'll put 7.5 in.
Yes, okay.
Right. Professional fees. Okay.
Number there that's so big for the column, isn't it?
I know, just had to spread out a bit. Right, we're down
Fortunately,
at
it's
the
a
bottom.
negative number.
Yeah. Right, we're down at the bottom then. So I'm assuming that these figures will have all changed.
Yes.
Oh, we're 3% down from last year. It's even better.
There you
Well
go.
done.
Said we'd
Go
see.
back, put them all back in again now.
No, I'm still happy with that.
We're not going minus, because then next year we'll be putting up 10%.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm joking, really. As I said it earlier on, I think we should try very, very hard to keep that
Yeah.
as a 0 this year.
Yes.
So we could add in another 3.35%
Yes.
into, I mean, maybe
It's what? It's about £6,000. It's about £6,000. So at this stage of the budgeting process, I would suggest it's not worth worrying about where that goes.
yeah. I mean,
If
we
you
could
want to
perhaps-
prioritise where you want to spend, out of all the things that you've cut,
I mean, can we not just put a couple of thousand into each of the big ones that we've whacked down? Like maybe put a couple back, maybe put Fletton House back to 10. Instead
Thing is, yeah. I mean, what I would like to do, I mean, this is a personal thing again, is you know, back to the cemetery and making it look you know, like a park.
Yeah, put it in the cemetery.
All right, put it in cemetery.
Dig a hole and put it in the cemetery then.
So put that
is
to
that
11.
where is that where that's where we took it out?
Yeah, put that to 11,000 then.
so you've got £16,000 to play with.
11 grand out of it. So
Sorry, Paul.
You've got £16,000 to play with.
Just, is my maths wrong?
Unfortunately, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well, why don't we put it in reserves as we don't know what's going to happen next year?
Yeah, I think it's then, rather than us do arbitrary sort of
let's call it
things.
contingency, and
Yeah.
and then we can allocate it wherever.
COVID contingency.
That's not a bad idea because at the moment, a lot of the stuff that we've been buying, like hand sanitizer and all of that, there is a fund at East Northants Council. We've got about 5,000 for each town council, and we're able to claim it back at the moment. So I've just put a claim in for everything that we've bought so far, but we're also buying some other things. I think we'll have another claim next year, but then I don't know what will happen at the end of this financial year.
Okay then. Yeah.
Having a COVID.
You put a COVID column in there then.
If I put 11,000 in for the cemetery and then the remainder to bring it up to a 0, are you happy for us to put that as a COVID line?
Well, I would just leave it as a contingency, you know, then you can use it on anything you want to. Use it on COVID if you need to.
Okay.
It's good to have something in the budget rather than not, because it looks like we've actually worked our budget out properly. But
Would you like to explain that, Emma?
it's just the idea of a council budget is you've really got to stick to it. And if you don't, you've got to have a really good reason why you
All right then.
add
It's
to
back in the
something.
long stay car park because we trimmed quite a bit out of that and we know we're going to end up spending money on it.
You do have a COVID line anyway.
All
do
right.
we?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
7255 with £1,000 in it.
I believe.
You want to increase that to
10,000, I would say.
A balancing, a balancing amount, whatever it balances
Yeah,
back to.
10 years.
so do you want it to come to a cost zero, no increase in the precept?
Yes.
So what? Sorry, where am I putting it? I don't know whether to put it in the car.
218.
218, and that's
It's got to be changed to whatever that needs to be to get it to zero at the bottom.
So where are you spreading your £16,000 out?
Well, we think
Well,
we put. Sorry, Emma, go on.
what did I put in cemetery?
You put 6 in cemetery.
6 in cemetery.
Take it from 5 to 11.
So,
So the-
and I
Just the balance wants to be added to the 1,000 in.
That's a lot of money.
do we want to put anything in the car park?
I would put it in one of the bigger projects, either the car park or the courthouse repair and maintenance,
Well, the other one to put in is the toilet, isn't it?
or the toilet. Oh,
We left the toilet, didn't
I
we?
thought we left that.
I think we left that.
We left the
No, but
toilet.
the toilet plan at the moment is to do it in 2 halves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there must be some economies of scale in doing it in one hit.
There will be one hit, won't it? Because we got the budget for this year for half of it and half of it for next year, so we don't need any more money. Is that correct?
Doesn't quite work like that, does it?
No, we haven't. We haven't got a big amount in this year.
Oh, I thought we did. I beg your pardon.
About 5. We've got about 5 in there this year.
Mm.
Oh, okay. All right. Put it in there then.
If you put 10,
Well, get enough into the toilet so you can do the whole thing rather than do it in 2 halves.
Yeah.
So put that to 30 then.
In that case,
Or whatever you've got spare now to
I've
keep
got
this
6.
balance.
I've put 6 in cemetery, so we've got another 10.
Yeah, okay.
25 then.
Is that right?
25,000.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
come down.
Where have these gone to, Emma? I missed those.
I've just put an extra 10,000 in the toilets.
Yeah, we're there, aren't we? Yeah.
That's gone up to 25.
Yeah.
And then I put 6,000 in cemetery.
That's now 11,000.
Now 11. So now
Yeah.
we're at minus.
We're at zero effectively, aren't we?
Yeah.
Go and take-
Because there'll be a few more houses in the town that'll make the precept go up anyway, won't there?
Yeah, it'll bring that figure down. And in a few years' time, there'll be hundreds of houses, and then
Oh, quite, yeah.
So there's £85.26. Do you want that to go in the COVID line then?
85.26, yeah.
yeah, go on, put that in the COVID line then.
I think put it on mayor's expenses.
I think we're there, aren't we?
Yeah.
You'll no doubt get chewed over again in the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I need to have a chat with Lisa as well, just to go through it and just see if that she thinks there's anything that we've missed.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And so then there's obviously a bit of, manoeuvre,
I think that was a good session. That
Movement.
was,
It
Yeah.
was,
It was
wasn't
very-
it? Good
it was-
advantage of keeping the numbers down.
absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
God, we didn't do it in the full council.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Okay then. Well, after that, any other business? No.
No?
Right. Oh, sorry, just one, slightly financial one. Are we having the new van sign written?
Yes, we are. But at the council meeting next week, we have to sort of revamp the logo, which you might have seen, Tony, on the advertiser page.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that. So we've just got a new. It's not a brand new logo, but it's just slightly different that I want you to have a look at, and then we'll probably get that put on both vans.
Okay, Jerry?
Well, just to another AOB. Then, if we're going to look, if we're looking at the logo, should we have a bit of a more comprehensive look at it? I mean, if it's only a slight edit, then I do quite like the current logo, but it's not very. What's the word?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Bloody exciting. Yeah.
You can't sort of like you can't just sort of like grab hold of it as, you know.
The reason we had
That's
to
OTC.
change it was the new website, the resolution was so poor because it's a scanned pencil drawing that was used.
Yeah.
So they couldn't put it on our new website.
No, they had to do something. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if we should hold off rebranding the vans until we've had asked our marketing team to think about whether.
This is what the marketing team's looked at.
But give them a slightly wider brief to say, rather than just, can you tweak it a bit? Can you think about something a bit more 21st century?
Have you seen what we've done?
No.
Have a look at what we've done.
Okay.
I'll bring it to the next.
The new website is very very impressive.
I have been to the new website, but I didn't notice that. To be honest, I didn't notice the logo changed.
But also, I'll show you what we've done and see if you're happy with it, because it was quite cheap. It was only about £50. See if we want to do something more. And then that's fine, because I think the councils before looked at different logos, but we were quite happy with what we got for now. But it's on the agenda. It'll be on the agenda for next week.
Certainly, Jerry, if you've got some thoughts, let share them around. Don't wait for the meeting.
Yeah.
Pass them around. What it might look like.
I'm on the new council website now, and don't appear to have a logo.
It's not on there yet because we haven't
On the
had
homepage,
approval
right.
from you.
Yeah, it's on that the advertiser one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's,
Probably in your bin now, isn't it?
I'll
I don't suppose
forward
it is
to you.
actually.
I'll forward it to you.
Yeah.
So you can have a look. Well, I will be anyway this week. I'll be forwarding it to you. So you
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll shut up.
No.
Stop being awkward.
You
Okay,
might
well-
love this one.
Well, once again, thanks Paul and Emma. So if you've made this process much easier for us than it could have been. So you've done some bloody good work in here.
Paul's done most of that actually.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. It's good.
All right then. Well, thanks. So declare the meeting closed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye now.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.